Good morning, everybody, and welcome to our exciting Instagram Live with Doctors Cornel West and Melina Abdullah. I am thrilled to be able to talk to them about the Equal Rights Amendment, which has been fully ratified for over 4 years now and is ready to protect all of our rights to equal pay, to bodily autonomy, to LGBTQ rights, to pregnancy rights, to contraception. The Equal Rights Amendment truly is the silver bullet to push back against the encroachments on our human and civil rights that are increasing every single day. And we need more people to know not only what it is, but that it has been ratified. And what I mean by that is that the Constitution requires that 3/4 of the states ratify any amendment before it becomes law. And we had been waiting for many, many years to complete the process, and we succeeded in 2020 when Virginia became the final and 38th state needed to ratify and complete the amendment. But what happened then? Instead of a ticker tape parade and us being able to finally fully be equal under the law, instead, then President Donald Trump had his Attorney General send a OLC letter to the U.S. Archivist ordering them not to publish. Now, who is the U.S. Archivist? Well, essentially, they are the Constitution's librarian. They record every state and make sure that it is ratified before they publish that state. And they published Illinois when they ratified in 2017. Nevada was the first state to ratify in this new batch of ratifications. Nevada in 2017, Illinois in 2018. And when it came to Virginia, where the archivist had told us that they would absolutely ratify, they instead listened to an illegal letter and failed to ratify the amendment. The amendment is complete, and publication is to some degree historically irrelevant, but what it is relevant for right now is that it puts the courts and the country on notice that the Equal Rights Amendment is the 28th Amendment to our Constitution and must be followed. So I am really hopeful and excited that by speaking with the doctors and explaining this to their constituencies and followers, we will begin to broaden the message and let them know that equal means equal. Our organization has launched a campaign called Final Impact for the ERA. And what Final Impact is a time-sensitive national campaign to make sure that President Biden picks up the phone and makes a call to the U.S. Archivist directing them to publish the ERA. The U.S. Archivist, both archivists, David Ferriero, who was the archivist in 2020, and the present archivist, Colleen Shogan, have both said that if the president directed them to publish, they would do so. So it's not a matter of whether they will or won't. First of all, it's a mandatory part of their job. It's non-discretionary, and they are obligated to do so. But their boss is the president. So they have to listen to their boss, and their boss so far has not directed them to do so. So Final Impact is all about putting that pressure on Biden to make that phone call before November. Because after November, who knows what will happen? But one thing we do know is we don't have the leverage at that point to put the pressure on the administration. And they, although they claim to support the Equal Rights Amendment, they have, according to Biden, he has supported it for 30 years. It's all over his website. During his run for the presidency, both he and Kamala Harris were very, very overt about their presumed 1000% support for the amendment, but now when they're actually able to do something, they aren't doing anything. Good morning. Yay.
Hey,
so
Dr.
happy to see you.
And
Great to see you. I'm excited for this conversation.
Thank you for taking the time.
Of course.
I'm blessed to be in conversation with you, and it's always a blessing for me to see my dear sister, Dr. Melina Abdullah, strong as ever.
Thank you. Good to see you, Dr. West.
We on the move.
That's
E-R-E-R-A.
right.
So let me start by asking you, what do you know about what's been going on with the Equal Rights Amendment, so that I can contextualize for you and tell you what we're up to here at Equal Means Equal?
Do you want me to go first, or Dr. West, you want to go first?
Sure, I'll jump right in. I mean, I was actually very blessed to be part of the movement in the late 70s and early 80s when we were trying to push it through. We had 35, we got stuck for a while, and we finally got Virginia, I think it was in January 2020. And then lo and behold, Trump came in and tried to stop it. And we thought when Biden made his move that we were going to move through smoothly. And it remains a mystery to me. I think it's pathetic that he hasn't got on the phone and followed through on this thing. And, so that in that sense, it's just a matter of putting pressure. And of course, when my dear sister and I, when we make our move to Washington, that's going to be one of the first things we do. My God, that's the easiest thing we do, because it has implications in every sphere, every dimension of a woman's life. And you all lay that out, from domestic violence to the discrimination. And we're on the way also to the international agreement. We finally be able to sign that as well. So these are crucial issues for this campaign. And I'm just very blessed to be a part of it.
You are so educated. You are literally the first person that I've spoken to that has it 1000% correct. I have no quibble with anything you've said. You are absolutely right that it takes one phone call from this president and we stop the rollbacks on the human rights of half the population and the LGBTQ community. And it's really unconscionable that he has not made that call, and we don't really understand why. But at a certain point, it's irrelevant why. It's just a matter of getting him to do that.
Absolutely right. No, we stand with you. Very much so. We stand with you.
Thank you, Dr. Abdullah. Do you want to speak on this?
I mean, I think I'll just add a couple of things in terms of my experience that I remember learning about the Equal Rights Amendment in college and being shocked and outraged that it's not already in place. Who would, we're in 2024. How do we not have something? I identify as a revolutionary, as an abolitionist. I am radical in that I believe in the transformation of the systems that bring harm to the world. But the passage of the Equal Rights Amendment isn't even revolutionary. It is not radical. It's basic fundamental rights for more than half of the population, right? When we talk about, and I'll just add this quick thing and then be quiet for a sec. When we look at things like equal pay day, and we look at what women overall earn compared to men, and then as a Black woman, what Black women earn 62 cents on the dollar compared to white men. And then the last thing I'll add is we see that coming, how that plays out. A couple years ago, we did this survival fund. I organized with Black Lives Matter Grassroots, and we had gotten a lot of money, grateful that a lot of money poured in 2020. And we said, how do we help Black people, especially who were struggling in the midst of the pandemic? And so we allocated $3 million to direct small grants to folks who were struggling, $1,000 grants, just to be able to pay a bill here or there, buy food here or there. And as we took the applications in, there was this expectation that there would be some kind of universal harm across Black people. It only took a paragraph to apply for these survival grants. But what we saw overwhelmingly is what I see in my own life, among my own friends, among my own sisters, is that it was Black women who were struggling the most, Black mamas especially, and holding up the whole of the community, right? That we're the ones who not only are struggling with unfair wages, but also holding up the rest of the community as we do it. And so the passage of the ERA and the work that you're doing with Equal Means Equal is so important, both, you know, just as we talk about policy, but also as we talk about how policy plays out in our actual lives. And so I think Dr. West said it well, that it's one of the things we're most committed to day one as we take office, and day one right now, because it's not just about what we do then, it's about what we do now and what we advocate for now, how we use this moment. Charlotta Bass always says, and I know people are tired of me quoting the first Black woman run for vice president, but she always said, we win by raising the issues. We win by raising the issues. And so now we must raise this as a vital issue for women, for people, regardless of gender. This is an issue of human rights and what's right in this world, what we must do in this world.
Absolutely. And, you know, women do 100 million hours a year in unpaid labor. The society runs on the backs of women not being paid properly. And you mentioned 62 cents for African American women, Black women. Latinas in LA County are at 44 cents. We are the lowest paid group in the country. And you know, 75% of our school children have working mothers. And if it's a single parent household and they're bringing home less than 50%, how are our children? And then the society sort of condemns them for neglect. And then you get involved with the system, the childcare system, saying, well, you don't have food in your refrigerator, so therefore we're going to take your kids. It's just this sort of cycle of intense oppression. And then with gendered violence not being properly litigated, where 99% of rapists will never see a day in prison. And if you are experiencing domestic violence, the police will not come to your house because it's too dangerous for them, and they're not obligated to do so. One of the things the ERA provides is the equal protection of our laws, you know, which right now we do not have the equal protection of our laws. So I want to take a moment to tell you about our new campaign, which is called Final Impact for the ERA. And it's between now and November. And what we're asking people to do is, in their communities, their cities, their towns, create this action by going to finalimpact.org and signing up to be a community leader and getting 50 people in your neighborhood to participate. What we do is we print out these huge portraits of every person that participates, and we find a public space or a private space that allows us to glue these on the wall with the slogan, "Make the Call, Joe, publish the ERA." And we feel like if we're able to hit, you know, we're going to do at least 10 towns in Michigan. We're going to be in Wisconsin. We're going to be in Pennsylvania. We're going to be in DC, in Chicago for the Democratic National Convention. If we can pop up like popcorn all over the country, then I think the administration will be compelled to recognize that the people do demand equal rights. Right now, I've heard that Biden has said he's not willing to expend the political capital necessary because he doesn't think enough people know about it. And we have a situation of gaslighting, which is so dangerous to the democracy when 96% of Americans believe that men and women are equal, but over 75% of them believe they're already in the Constitution. Now that's dangerous. And it's also psychologically problematic because you have women growing up, young girls growing up thinking they are equal, and then they come up against the discrimination, but they internalize it because they've been told that they're equal. So if they're not succeeding, it must be our fault, right? We must not be adequate. And that really upsets me. Because I think women are very capable and sometimes superhumanly capable, but the society is telling them that they're not because they're not getting paid enough to have a living wage, to raise their children, etc. But it's not their fault. And so that's another reason I think it's so important for us to fight for this and fight for it now. We've been fighting for 101 years to get to this point. As Dr. West said in 1972, most of the country thought it was done because the president signed it and the Congress passed it. So the American public doesn't understand, the minutia of the amendatory process. So they thought, okay, we're liberated. This is it. But that was only the beginning of the entire state ratification process.
That's so very, very true. I just want to salute you in using your artistry and using your platform, using your courage, your vision, your determination to really cast a light on this vicious legacy of male supremacy, the vicious legacy of patriarchy. We know it's so tied into a host of other forms of oppression, be it white supremacy, be it predatory capitalism, be it imperial tentacles around the world, but we have to bear witness. And you've been using the platform to bear witness in a very, very powerful way, going all the way back to Jeanette Rankin, herself from Montana, being one of the great pioneers raising this issue. And also she's a pacifist against war. We won't get into that right now. But I mean, I think people need to be encouraged. One of the things that this campaign is all about, and Sister Melina is exemplary in this regard. How do you such a way that people are encouraged so they don't give up, they don't cave in, they don't sell out? And when you understand that patriarchy is really a crime against humanity. I mean, that's what we're talking about.
Yes.
At the deepest level, and that's why it affects every person who has any sense of morality, any sense of decency, not just a constituency issue or an intergroup issue. It's moral, spiritual, as well as political. And that's why we're just very do all that we can to push back the vicious legacy of male supremacy and patriarchy.
I
And we
think
do.
it's an existential issue at this point.
That's true.
I think the human species will not survive the patriarchy. I think it's on an increasingly quick downward spiral in terms of its effects in war, on the environment, on the animals, on the children. And if women are able to take this, the ERA is simply the first domino that must fall in order to bring the human species out of this downward spiral and up towards evolution and recreation. And like Gandhi said, women are the dharma of mankind. We do display those, and I'm speaking in general terms, obviously, empathy, collaboration, compassion, holistic power sharing, all of these things that we exemplify and bring to the table have been disrespected for so long. They need to be exalted, they need to be embraced, and that's the only way that we're going to be able to create a better world for our children and grandchildren. Because like you said, predatory capitalism is crushing people and all living beings.
Absolutely.
That's right. This is such vital work. It's such vital work, especially now. And I just want to kind of expand outwards. If we look at the moment that we're in this world, if we look at where we are in the U.S., but also around the world, if we look at the theft of life, the genocide in Gaza, if we look at the ways in which cop cities are expanding all over this country, if we look at the ways in which, the existing system is expanding and doubling down on white supremacist, patriarchal, heteronormative capitalism, we have to advance an alternative vision. We have to say that these are the things that we believe in. And this is, gender equity is necessary. It's a necessary part of it. It has to be where we move. It has to be what we advocate for. It has to be the vision that we advance. And so that means, yes, equal pay. That means absolutely addressing crimes against women. And it also means transforming the world. I love what you brought up about the impacts that it has on our children. When you mentioned how the Department of Children and Family Services will condemn mothers for not having food in their refrigerators. The condemnation, my faith always says that before you look at an individual, you have to look at the society that they live in. And if the society is creating the crime, the society is the criminal, right? It's not mothers who are criminals for not having food in their refrigerator, right? It's a society that says a mother can open a refrigerator and there's no food in it. She doesn't have a right to food. We don't have an obligation as humanity to feed all of us. We don't have obligation as humanity to keep these children safe here and around the world, right? And so that's why this fight is important now. It's important in November, but it's important now. And we have I use the term sacred duty. We have the sacred duty to engage in this work. And I also want to encourage us to understand we have the capacity, because even as I see your eyes and my eyes welling with tears as we think about children, especially children in Gaza, and I cry every day, and I've learned to stop apologizing for that, because it's what allows me to hold on to my humanity in a world that tries to steal it every second, right? As we engage in this fight, and it's heavy, we also know that this fight as our sacred duty, we have the capacity to do it. And the beauty of the fight, Dr. King talks about the beautiful struggle, right? The beauty of the fight is that we get to link arms and know each other and have each other's back and reclaim our humanity, reclaim who we are, reclaim our vision, and do it together. And we can create beauty in the world and beauty in our own spirits in doing this work. So I just wanted to offer that as we say another struggle and we feel heaviness kind of come visit us. We have to remember that there's also light that comes with it.
Absolutely. And to your point, this is a very easy fight to win. The hard work has been done. It's been done by millions and millions of women and tens of millions of hours of struggle, but we have achieved it. And now it's just getting one man to make one call. And the onus shifts then from those that would take away our human rights. So right now, we have to play defense, but we don't. If he makes this one call, then we are sitting pretty and let them try and get us out of the Constitution. So I think that this is doable. I really do. I'm not just saying that to be, to be all roses and, happiness, but truly, how hard can it be to get one guy to make one phone call? It's the power of the people. We got to get the people involved in this fight, get them to understand, like we did in Virginia. When we were traveling around Virginia trying to convince people to get rid of the horribly racist, bigoted gentlemen that were holding the ERA hostage in their committees, we told the people, your vote does count this time. The gerrymandered maps are illegal. The Supreme Court said so. This is your chance not only to have your voice heard as a person of color in Virginia, but also to bring equality to all women all over the country. And that spirit took over, and we flipped 6 seats, and we got rid of those guys, and we put a woman in charge of that state, and we got the first Black man elected in our county ever, and got rid of a 29-year incumbent who was a white nationalist throwing white power signs on the floor of the Congress in Virginia. We did that, and it can be done. And this is even easier because we don't need a lot of money to do this final impact. We just need to show up, have our picture taken, glue it on the wall, and say, I stand for this. Joe, make the call. And he will not be able to resist the power of the people. We know that from history. That's the one thing we can count on, is when the people speak, these politicians listen, because they know, even though they get their money from all these terrible people, at the end of the day, it's the people that put them where they are.
That's right.
You know?
Can you repeat the action step? Because I know we have a lot of viewers right now. Yes. What is the action step we can take? I know you said take this photo. What do we do right now?
You go to finalimpact.org and you click on submit your photo. It's the Inside Out project, and you'll scroll down and you will create your own community action. And when you click on that button, somebody from the project will be in touch and explain to you, you need to gather 50 people and then send in your pictures holding your phone, and they will print them out, mail them back to you, and we will organize the day when you will activate in your community and glue them on a wall. Now, you can do, if you do that, that would be great. If you don't want to be the organizer, you can just upload your picture and we will take care of it for you. Just take a picture of yourself with the phone, upload it on the Final Impact site, and then when we go to DC or we go to Chicago, we will print your picture out for you and glue it on a wall. But it would help if you have the time, and I will help you. Our team will help you. It's not on your shoulders, but if you're in a town where you can do this, please take it on. It's not that hard, and we will help you do it.
And you can do it as a part of something you're already doing, right? Like, so if you're, so for instance, Black Lives Matter Los Angeles, we have protests every single week in front of the LA Police Protective League. There's 50 people there. We could do it as a part of the protest, right?
Absolutely. Just take your pictures, sign up as, get one person to put their name in as the point person. We'll be in touch with you. We'll tell you exactly how to do it. You'll pick the day that you want to do it. Find the building. There are a lot of city buildings that they might let us use. Kevin De Leon's district is downtown. The city of West Hollywood has endorsed this project. They're helping us. We're going to be at Pride this weekend in LA, marching in the parade. We're going to be taking everybody's pictures at Pride at our booth. We invite anyone in Los Angeles to come on down and we will take your picture for you. But jump on in, and time is of the essence. We only have till November to pressure this one man to make one call. And it's the biggest.
So let me just say, because you mentioned my arch nemesis's name, or one of them. We are not endorsing Kevin De Leon. You're just saying that for
district downtown. It's his district downtown that has all those buildings.
Right. So this is not saying that we're supporters of anti-Black racist Kevin
No,
De Leon. It's just identifying that
where you are when you
before
go
we get
down
him out, it still counts as his council district.
That's
So
right. It's his. So that's why it's not West Hollywood cannot give us a building down around the downtown, which is important because LA is so segregated and so class divided. And we need to be in East LA. We need to be downtown. We need to be places where the people can participate. And there's no charge. If you get your picture taken, we will make sure that we can afford to print it out. And there's no barrier to entry here because we
great.
want everybody involved in this. We don't want just certain types of people or people that have $20 or people that are not living on the street. We want everybody in this because the ERA is for everybody.
Great. Finalimpact.org.
Yes.
Great.
Absolutely. And I again just want to add that, I don't want people to lose hope if for some reason President Biden, who already has genocide, already enabled genocide, if he decides not to make a phone call, we can keep the pressure on because we're dealing with a large system. So that our connection between the local and global is something very, very important. That on the one hand, don't want to act as if he's got so much power that if he doesn't do something, he's pulling the rug from under us. No, no, not at all. We are fighting a moral, spiritual, and political issue that affects women in every corner of the globe. When Sister Melina talked about the women in Gaza, we can talk about the women in Haiti, the women in Sudan, the women in Congo, the women in Iraq, the women in Korea, the women in Brazil, the women in Mexico.
Yeah.
This is part of a larger movement against structures and institutions, but this is a particular kind of weaponry or a particular kind of weapon that we're fighting for. So I don't want people to think that if for some reason he doesn't pick up the phone, that's going to dampen our fire. No,
Thank
not
you.
at
That makes me
all.
feel good because I'm in a little bit of a state of like, oh my gosh, we thought he was going to do it day one when we thought that,
It
and he
wasn't for
didn't do it.
black, wasn't for black women, he wouldn't even be in the
That's
White House.
what I mean. Why is he doing this to us?
Exactly. And that's why I don't fully understand. We could access I know you a particular Kamala, but the other Kamala, the vice president, can you give us an account of why he won't pick up the darn phone and be a force for good on this issue? He's already not a force for good on a whole host of other issues. That's why we're running against him. That's why we're concerned about his lives and his crimes. So that this kind of pressure is so very important, and people want to get the larger picture, even as we work daily on local issues.
Yes. Thank you for that. That's really important to keep in mind that even if whether we win or lose by November, the fight continues. It continues for our sisters in Afghanistan who we abandoned when they were about to be able to have their own university, and suddenly now they're locked back in their homes, unable to go to school. The girls in Mexico that are being trafficked, the indigenous women in our own country who are being 1 out of 3 are just up and disappearing and nobody's doing a thing about it. This is a big fight, but it's one that I'm happy to dedicate my life to. It gives me purpose, and it is the right thing to do, and it's a moral imperative, and we all need to jump on it now and make this guy make the call. And the United Nations recently said, absolutely, the ERA must be published, that the United States is violating the human and civil rights of half the population. And we don't even seem to care that the United Nations has made this determination about our crimes against our people.
Well, I'm surprised the United Nations hasn't the United States hasn't vetoed that particular movement toward empowering women too. We've seen the vetoes in the number of years and decades when it comes to forces for goods being called into question by our ambassadors, though. But we have to be vigilant. We have to have fortitude. That's the key.
Yeah.
It really is.
Thank you. Thank you both so much for giving us this time. Thank you for everything you do, for what you stand for. You give all of us hope. You keep fighting. I love you both. I'm at your service. I'm here, whatever I can do to help and support you. Please let me know. And whatever Equal Means Equal can do, we're just grateful to both of your voices being out there in our country right now. We so desperately need your voices.
We thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having us. And more than that, thank you for your work. Really, really appreciate your work. Thank you.
Absolutely. And stay strong. Stay
All right.
strong. All righty.
Bye.
Take good care. God bless you.